So first of all, sadly this is a quick match, so I cannot look at the draft because there was none. But first thing I notice is their entire team has absolutely nothing that should ever be able to threaten you, which is probably how you have one death. I'm very worried about Falstad having 5 deaths against this team comp.
Oh, yeah.
Your siege damage is really low in comparison to hero damage. We're probably hitting heroes for no effort too much. There's also very few kills, 16 to 19 for being a 25.5 minute game on Volskaya. We'll probably have to look at the way the team fights went and such. The enemies
Does my microphone
have
work?
some weird builds. Yeah, I'm just talking first. Deckard doesn't have a build, sadly. Autotech Falstad, okay. So you were a 5-stack. Do you happen to know if they were a 5-stack?
What?
You were a 5-stack. Did you happen to know if the enemy was a 5-stack?
No.
No, okay. So if we actually look at the XP breakdown, you are red team. Until about 9 minutes in, most of the XP on the map was being caught, but at 9 minutes there is a big break in XP. Probably a team wipe or overzealous brawl happening at that. Happening at that point. They overtake you in XP soaked because this actually goes on until 13 minutes, where the soak being caught is really, really low. Timeline: when was the first structure gotten? First object was only capped at level 10, so that took really long. Red team through by getting team wiped around level 13, probably overconfident. You were over leveled at the time. And the game just goes on for way too long because it's freaking Volskaya. Okay. Anything else interesting to look at here? Not too much. You were the only one on your team doing camp, while the enemy had 2 people doing camps a lot more often. Johanna on camps. I think that's roughly about it. Do you remember this game?
I remember that they were very hard to kill because of Zarya. She just shielded everything, and I didn't get any kills, even though I did lots of damage.
So they have a Deckard, which means that their overtime healing is quite high, and they have a Zarya, which means that they have the shields. But you can play a lot around the Zarya shields, and the Deckard potions are also very predictable. And not that high burst healing. You can also see that the Deckard's healing actually this game was really low. The Deckard was probably a much lower ranked player than most of the others in this lobby, which is part of why I don't like looking at quick match replays. But otherwise, you farmed a lot of hero damage, but it didn't lead to anything. That meant that probably you were wasting your time a lot. Dragon's Arrow can be the way to force kills against a team comp like this, but if we look at Zarya's talents, she does eventually get unstoppable and she gets Cleansing Shield, which means that Dragon's Arrow all in all will be a lot weaker. This would be a game to consider Dragon's Strike, especially considering that you have a taunt to keep them in there, Falstad to gust them into it. Yes, to gust them into it. and because Kira already has Booming Kick for AoE stuns and Unrelenting Strikes, so Dragon's Arrow might be a little bit overkill, but we'll also be looking at the Dragon's Arrow usage this game when you could have and couldn't have used it, etc. But I think that is roughly about it for looking at stats of the Storm. So I'll be switching to in-game. So first thing to notice is your team is vastly over-leveled compared to the enemy team, such as 5-stack quick match life.
It is finally time. My resolve has been tested again. Day is no different.
So, early game. Looking at their comp. What is their win condition and what is your win condition?
I think it's rubber banding the stream. It's like when you pan, it stutters back.
So?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try restarting the stream then. Actually, I'll try to restart Discord.
I think their win condition is
how's it now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, nice.
I think their win condition is standing at the point with the Zarya shields and Deckard healing and winning objective.
So their win condition is objectives, you think?
Leoric soaking, does that count as a win condition?
Leoric what?
Leoric soaking XP. I think that's what Leoric does.
Yes, but that is not a special thing. But how do they win fights? Because, like you've already said, they have point control over you. That is mainly because of the Zarya, but also means they'll be able to contest this point decently well. That being said, you have a Falstad, you have a Gust, which can take which can turn bad fights into good fights. Give me a sec. I am being spammed to death on Discord. Do not disturb. There we go. So you have a Falstad who can make bad fights into good fights. That means that most of the time, no fights should really go very bad. Beyond that, you have a Hanzo who has very good point damage. You have the Varian, which wants to pick off a lot of heroes. Felsa can play into that a little bit, as can Kira. And your win condition in these fights, even though they are fairly tanky, they have 4 frontline heroes and Venetikas, you can honestly still burst them down. Varian has shield break, Falstad has tons of auto attack damage, Hanzo is burst with scatter, with Q, with autos, and their overtime healing is honestly not even that strong with the Deckard, especially considering the build that he took. But if we're talking about win conditions on the map, which team has better PvE? Which team has more wave clear?
I think blue, because Leoric has AoE auto attacks and Zarya also.
Mm-hmm. So blue team has decent PvE. They have a better structure push, and that mainly comes down to Kira has very little structure damage, and Hanzo has very little structure damage. That means that for red team this game, it is going to be a little bit hard to close out the game without the objective. And you'll have to keep that in mind throughout the game, because I doubt that you will be able to get a lot of structure damage in this game. The only one on your team that really does that is Falstad, while on their team, Tychus, Zarya do it quite decently, and Leoric and Johanna can play around the minions a lot. So what does that mean for winning the game? How do you win the game if you don't have high structure damage? Well, you have to either win fights very decisively so that you can push anyway, despite not being strong at pushing, or you have to win the objectives. I believe you won the first 2 objectives and then you lost the next 3 and lost the game to the 3rd one, if I recall the scoreline correctly. But this camp is also going to be big for you this game. It's going to be capturing this off cooldown is going to be honestly very nice if you're going to be able to do that. But that really depends on how the map goes, because your wave clear is also really bad. So it's going to be very awkward to actually do the camps while not missing soak. And poking out the enemy team with the Zarya, with the Deckard is going to be very awkward. You want to take decisive fights, and that means that if you use all of your cooldowns and you don't get someone, it is honestly worth to just go back to PvE, go back to hitting the minions, getting all the soak and getting the camps. Especially if you blew turrets and such during it. But let's look at the opening the opening bit of this game. So let's actually switch to your perspective. So your first move is to W. Is there a reason not to use your E early on in this laning phase?
Mana, and like it's not like Varian can fight before level 4 anyways.
So you don't want to really take this role.
Well, I do want W stacks.
So you want W stacks, but you don't want to brawl?
Yes.
Okay. I will say mana conservation should not be a concern early on.
What's mana conservation?
Like you said, your E costs mana and you don't want to use your E because it costs mana. But the main mana eater is your W anyway. Now, yes, fitting in your E a lot of the time will eat for your mana. But if you pick up the globes, if you tap off cooldown, you will not have mana issues as Hanzo, unless you are brawling an excessive amount, which we will be looking at, of course. But the thing about Hanzo is one of the advantages that he brings to the early brawl is the vision advantage. Because if you use your E, say right here, you have vision of this entire choke, and they cannot wrap around your team here at all, and you can play around this entire area completely safe, despite having a weak level 1 fight with your Varian. Because even though you have a very weak level 1 fight, so does their team. Now the danger, especially with your team comp, is going to be that if you are hitting the enemy heroes, that you will not clear the mid wave, and that is always the primary point of the mid brawl, is to be able to get the kill the minions that are spawning in the mid wave and rotate to the next lane in time. If you're only hitting heroes, people have to stay behind. You can't do your rotation. You might not be able to start your camp on time, etc. Anyway. You use your W. And you charge the Johanna in a straight line, channeling your Q. Now, what will your Q actually do against the Johanna, even if she didn't get a bubble? Talking about conserving mana. Is your team able to pressure the Johanna in any meaningful way early on?
I think it's a leading question, leading to no.
So the thing is your Q is quite a lot of DPS on Hanzo, right? It's a lot of damage over time. But if you're putting it on the enemy tank, you want to actually be able to pressure their tank. But with both the Zarya shields and her personal shields and the Deckard behind her, there is no way you're ever going to be able to pressure Johanna's health pool with the Falstad and Kira early on. Especially considering you have no CC whatsoever. Your Falstad is getting caught out. And a lot, your Q can be used a lot better and a lot more effectively if you're looking to pressure someone else with a much lower health pool and much less support out. So if you're hitting the Deckard here, if you're hitting the Tychus on the side, if he steps up, or even just saving it until Falstad tries to until Tychus tries to auto attack someone, right? Because hitting Johanna here is not going to lead to anything, and in this case, because she got the Zarya shield, it's even just going to give her energy. It also causes you to step up towards the Johanna directly, which is one point that I also want you to really consider. Is... oh, I went back too far, sorry. Is when and why you are stepping up. So keep in mind, you step really far back here, behind your tank, right? Your Kira and your Falstad are going very far out. Your Alexstrasza and your Varian are staying back. Varian is probably typing or dancing or whatever. And that means that your Falstad is actually really exposed. But Falstad won't really be able to scare anyone off of you. So going forward in a straight line doesn't do anything here.
So if I want to shoot a Q, just stand still in the back and only move forward when the Q is fully charged?
No. What I want you to do is, instead of walking this line, I want you to walk this line. So instead of instead of going towards the enemies, I want you to stay at a constant distance from the enemies, but still moving. Do you understand why?
So I'm far away from them?
Mm-hmm. And so that you stay far away from them. Because if you're moving up and down, it is really easy to turn that around into moving this way. Or if they are really exposed, you will be closer to a wall, which will make it easier to scatter. Because if you're walking in this line, your scatter angles are constantly going to be changing quite drastically. If you're getting closer to the wall, I would consider this to be a relatively safe area. This is not. This to be a relatively safe area. The closer you are to the wall, the easier it is to land scatters, or to land a cheeky scatter on this wall. If someone steps close, right? So when you are brawling with enemies, 99% of the time, you want to be keeping the distance to the enemy the same, and you want to be strafing.
Wait, why is it easier for me to land a scatter if I'm closer to the wall?
Because if you're moving straight towards the wall, your angle doesn't change as much as if you're walking this path. So I'm talking about moving in this general area and not directly towards the Johanna. The end result is, because you stepped up so far, the distance between you and Johanna is now really, really low. And you immediately have to start walking all the way backwards already, because she is making up the distance to you.
Is it good that I'm walking backwards instead of into melee with Johanna?
This is walking into melee with Johanna. This is walking into melee with Johanna. This is when you realize that you are in melee with Johanna.
Wait, there's like one auto attack range between us.
This is half a Hanzo auto attack range. But do you see my point? That you do not want to be charging straight towards an enemy while you are charging your Q. There is no reason for you to ever step up towards your Q And while you are charging your Q, you usually want to stay outside of your own auto attack range. Unless you are channeling the Q for a very short amount of time because it's in melee range for burst. At this point, you only see 2 enemies, and there can be enemies right here. Keep that in mind, because you are sticking very close to this lack of vision. And because you don't have any vision on the enemies, you cannot land a proper scatter. This is where your E can be very useful. At this point you do have vision, so this is no longer an unsafe area, because you see your enemies. But again, you've been poking Johanna this entire time, but she hasn't really lost her health pool. At this point, the minions have started to clash, and because you are a hero with really, really low wave clear this early on, there is no reason at all to keep hitting for Johanna. You want to start auto-attacking the minions and start clearing a rotation so that you can head bottom or top wherever you need to soak. This is stepping up really far as a Hanzo. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Why are you stepping up so far?
I think it's probably to kill the Deckard.
Do you need to be this close to auto attack? Or land Qs? Or land scatters? Because at this angle, you have stepped so far up that you don't even have a scatter angle on this wall anymore. Which means that you're going to have to start looking for scatter angles on this wall or on the gate. However, there is a Tychus right here, there's a Johanna right here. If Johanna presses W, she presses trait, she walks to the right, you get caught in her W, or you have to use trait. And anytime you have to use trait, means that you were way too far up. Your Varian and your Alexstrasza are all the way back here. Now, your teammates are also stepping up way too far, but that's not an excuse. You can be right here and still auto-attacking the Johanna without stepping up, still auto-attacking the Deckard without stepping up further and exposing yourself so much.
What happens, like, if I stay at just the auto-attack range and they move away? Do I just lose the kill?
If you are standing here, you can move with the Deckard, but you cannot keep moving in while he is not moving away. And that is what just happened. So I really wish I could go into slow motion. So again, you are right next to zero vision without the enemy being visible. But at this point, your Kira finds the Deckard, and so do you. You actually could have scattered here already on the Deckard, but at this point you're a perfect amount of space away from the Deckard, right? This is maximum attack range. This is where you want to stay for the entire fight. Now the Deckard is about to be pushed towards your team, but you keep moving in. And this moving in is too far. Do you see what?
Because Johanna can condemn me.
And then Tychus can E in, start auto-attacking you, etc. Same thing for Sparkle, but we're not looking at Sparkle now. But especially as Hanzo, moving in all the time is really, really dangerous. And at this point, you are really far up. And you keep moving in, right? You walk into the Zarya's attack range, you walk into the Tychus's attack range. Now, Do you need to be this close to auto attack him, or could you be standing right here and still be landing auto attacks?
I could be standing further away.
And looking at scatter angles, where would you ideally want to be landing scatter angles from? It is not in their face. If you're right here,
between Zarya and the boss.
If you're right here, you can also land a scatter on here and hit 1 or 2 on the Deckard. Looking for a scatter here through the Johanna and the Tychus and the Zarya is just really dangerous. And in fact, you clump up so much with your teammates because you walk up so far that you're hit by the blind, which should not have hit you. And then you get hit by the Tychus W. So keep in mind, you lost half of your health pool for stepping up so far, while there was no reason to lose any of your health pool here. There was nothing in this team fight that should have had so much range that they would be able to hit you. So, one more time, I'm going to look at every single thing that hit you that shouldn't have. If the Deckard W hits you, that's fine. The Tychus Q is splashing onto you. Johanna lands an E on you. Sorry, lands a Q on you. Tychus lands a W on you. And at this point, you have lost half of your health pool for 0 reason. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And you could have played the exact same, had the exact same amount of auto attacks and Qs from a much further distance. Also at this point, because you were so busy auto-attacking heroes, all of the minions are still alive. Thus it has already rotated, and experience is being lost at this point. Because the minions aren't being hit. Now the tank has to stay behind, which means he can't cover your rotation. You're going into a bush at half health, where there could be enemies. Using your Q or your W to check this bush is what you should be thinking about if you're rotating into a bush without vision. Because say Tychus had rotated through here into here while you didn't have vision here, and he would start auto-attacking you, you would either have to use your trait, or if your trait got interrupted by W, you would straight up die. Channeling your Q from this long away doesn't do anything. You just dismount yourself for no reason. And again, it is the early game. Focusing on stacks can be okay, but doing some meaningless hero damage to the Zarya is not. These minions are both now both hitting, these two are both hitting you because you are stepping too far up. Zarya is about to be in auto attack range of you, and these minions aren't being cleared. Looking for a W stack on the Zarya is okay, because you are stacking, but beyond from that, you are not going to be able to meaningfully pressure the Zarya.
How would you know whether or not it's possible to get a kill in lane?
At this point, you are level 1, and the question isn't even can I get the kill, but it is should I get the kill? And the answer is there is literally no point over the minions.
Oh, I'm using my E to make sure we don't get flanked.
Your E is way too late. If there was a flank, it would already be here. At the point that you are here is when this E has to already be coming out. If you are thinking about killing Zarya. Your E lasts for 5 seconds, and in at the point that you are already this far up, if there was someone in this bush, they would have already gotten onto you and started murdering you. Also, Zarya could just turn around and right-click you, and you would also die here, because you're in our auto-attack range, again, for no reason.
Wait, does she win the 1v3?
No, but she kills you. Because you spent so long hitting the Zarya, which, by the way, didn't lead to a kill or anything, the minion wave wasn't clear before the next minion wave here, which meant that Varian is now stuck in mid lane with 3 enemy heroes, his wave being cleared, and no wait for him to clear the wave. So, because you spent so much time here, this wave can't be cleared in time. Which means that because this wave can't be cleared in time, you can't go to the camp at 1 minute. Do you see that?
Yes. Does Varian miss soak, or does he still get one if he waits behind the towers?
He gets structure damage in. The enemies get structure damage in if I want. That is the issue. Varian does not want to show in lane. He cannot contest these 3 enemy heroes. Varian wants to be here to safeguard the camp. He wants to be here to see rotations. Varian does not want to be in lane. You are not letting your tank do what he wants because you're forcing him to lane. Because you're going for the meaningless level 1 kill instead of clearing the lane. Now, one person can stay behind here, probably Kira, to clear this lane. You can rotate mid, help clear, or you can rotate straight camp, have the Varian awkwardly clear with towers. That's also okay, but staying this long in the top lane as the DPS who's supposed to be taking this camp is not okay. Why are you this far up in the lane?
I don't know.
Neither do I. You can be clearing the lane from your own backline, which means that if someone comes, which in this case Johanna did come, you have a much easier escape path. And again, like I said at the very start of the draft, the enemy team does not have something that threatens you, which is why I don't like this replay. Because their team comp is simply dysfunctional. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be thinking about your positioning. This is a good distance to be poking at. However, going in any closer here provides you absolutely nothing except getting into tower range. Also, this is still not being gotten. Also, this is still not being gotten. But if you want to scatter on the Zarya, the easiest angle to get it from is going to here. Because Zarya is going to go straight up. I believe this is Zarya. Oh, Tychus. What they all look like. Big handheld thing with 2 hands. But going straight towards the Tychus is a very awkward angle, both for your W, but also because you are getting close to the Johanna and the Deckard for no reason at all. And especially moving to the left here to get the scatter, which you could have gotten from here safely onto here, is very dangerous.
I think I'm there so that in case Tychus uses E towards his gate, he's still in my auto-attack range.
That's true here too. And then you get a free scatter. But the issue is stepping up so close to 2 enemy heroes because you are only looking at the Tychus. You don't get a good scatter angle because of that, and your Kira dies for it. And you kept poking here with no reason whatsoever to poke, because you are so focused on the enemy hero instead of the minions, the camp. This is really, really bad. If these 4 enemy heroes wanted to, you would have had no health at this point. There's no reason to step up this far. You can queue that hero, that minion from here too.
I get the globe.
Without vision here, and knowing that there were 4 enemy heroes here, that is not safe. And now you, as the person who needs to do the camp, are pinging the camp 40 seconds late because you weren't clearing minions at all. Chasing the Deckard is a complete waste of your time. You want to be rotating, you want to be getting this camp, you want to be getting this minion wave. The next minion wave will is still right over here, you know, because your minion wave is over here. So you won't be able to get that in either. And Hanzo does not do siege damage. There is no reason for you to step up here, except that you're being tunnel visioned by the Deckard. And in fact, at this point, you don't see any enemy heroes. You only see Liork and Deckard. And the enemy team can be in this bush and kill you right now, because you're stepping up 2 towers over the danger line, which is right in the middle of the lane, without vision, without using your Q to scout, without using your W to scout here, because you're greedy for your 1 stack. Now you do realize this in time, but stepping up this far was already too much. And if you were mounting up here and already rotating, it will be a lot better. Also keep in mind you have no vision of the enemy heroes. This is a dangerous rotation.
So I should go like through the fort?
Either wait for your allies to for the enemies to show on the map, or check this bush with a free Q. Now, because you step up so far, Janna's able to get a condemn on you, which you should never be able to do. And this is what I was talking about before. Now, this is a reasonable distance. You can be looking for scatters here. Look a little bit too late. But again, because you're spending so much time hitting heroes, this lane is being neglected. This isn't being taken. Falset is rotating in, not getting this. You want to be focusing a lot less on heroes in the early game. I know you want to get your W stacks, and you can use your W to get the stacks, but your auto attacks and your Qs should be focused on the minions. Holding your Q for so long and going in just to look for a single Q poke is also a complete waste of your time. And you don't even hit the Q. Again, chasing the Johanna here has absolutely no value. You're in front of your tank. You don't have a good scatter angle on her. Tychus is able to step up to you. And this camp is still not being taken. You should have died there, but they misplayed. But this is not a play you can do. I know this led to a kill, but going through their Johanna, while Varian is going top, while Falset is top, is a meaningless play. You're missing Soak in the bot lane, you're not getting your camp, and you almost risk your life for a single meaningless kill. Going through the Johanna is a big red flag. She can condemn you, she can interrupt your trait, Tychus can interrupt your trait, Deckard can Sapphire you if he took a real level 1, which means that you wouldn't be able to run away from anyone. The only reason you live here is because they missed some auto attacks. And Tychus missed his W entirely, which is his fault. Do you see why this was a bad play?
Because I could have died.
Because if the enemies weren't bad, you would have died. There wasn't a question, I could have died, you would have died. Because you go through a Johanna, through a Tychus, without any regard to your own life or your teammates' positioning. What is the gain here?
Killing Leoric.
What does killing Leoric matter for? What does it do?
They lose their soaker.
And
they miss soak.
And what are you doing right now?
I think I'm waiting in mid lane for the wave to come mid.
Getting a kill because they might not get the soak from the hero that would be soaking a lane, and then missing the soak in that lane meant that the kill was absolutely meaningless. If you died here, it would be a neutral trade. In fact, it would be a negative trade. Because Leoric has a very, very quick respawn. He doesn't have to rotate back into lane. But as Hanzo, you should never be in danger, especially against an all melee team like them. But you willingly walk into the melee range of a Johanna, into range of a Tychus, and the only reason you don't die is because they don't turn around on you. Also, this camp should have been taken 1.5 minutes ago. This XP is still being lost. And you're at very low health in the middle here. Again, this meaningless poke on the Tychus and Deckard doesn't do anything. The wave needs to be cleared. You are already very low and stepping up while you don't have the health to do so, while you don't have the mana to do so. If you harfed here, it would be a more positive effect and be better for the next 20 seconds than this poking. Poke without a reason to poke is meaningless poke. And there's a lot of that happening this game. At this point, you have to mount up and go tap. You could have harfed at the point that you tapped here. Now, why this camp at this time?
So it pushes top during objective.
If you wanted to push during the objective, why would you do it when the objective is going to be up before you take the camp?
Better late than never.
While you were missing soak. While your Kira is split doing a different camp. Splitting off to do a fifth activity when your team isn't doing the basic soaking because you weren't doing the camp at 1 minute is just really bad. Also, it takes you forever to do this camp. The enemy team can get a very easy lead on the control point because you're not there in time. You're also losing all of your health, and Alexstrasza has to come over to you instead of doing something else because you lost all your health. You also lost all of the mana that you got from tapping because you still didn't harf. And if we're talking about mana conservation and I didn't use my E because I don't want to waste my mana, Hearthing sometimes is a lot better than not using your abilities at all. So at this point, the team did finally split, go to waves, etc. But they also took this camp too late. But why are you stepping up next to this wall?
To attack Johanna or Deckard, I think. Oh, do you mean that the wall is like hiding the mid lane?
This is the issue. Tychus gets a completely free flank on you because you stay next to a wall. And any wall that you are staying right next to, don't have vision on the other side, that has enemies, or that could have enemies, is effectively a bush. And why would you stand right next to bushes for no reason? Instead of checking the bushes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a tank player, so I've never really thought about vision like this.
That, as a hero like Hanzo, you are playing more around vision than most Storm League tanks. Or you should be playing more around vision than more Storm League tanks. And it is a real issue that you are not using your E at all, basically. Right, you either use your E when it is already past the point where it would provide you safety. You are not using your Q to check bushes, and you are standing right next to walls that enemies can flank you from. Do you see a safer position to be now that you see this Tychus?
Between Varian and Alexstrasza?
That's way too far back.
Southeast of Varian?
Much better. You also have a much better scatter angle here. The enemy can't come through her because this conveyor will push them back, or Leoric will have to use his E to get through her, but he's in top lane. So, as Hanzo, I really want you to start focusing on your own positioning, not how do I hit enemies, but how do I stay safe. Because you have to run from the Tychus, you have to run away from the E. If you were here, you would be here and also in a much better position, much closer to your healer, much closer to your tank, still being able to auto-attack and provide pressure. And again, you step up into Johanna's range. Do you see how that happens?
I think it was to get healed by Alexstrasza's W.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And for that reason, this one is okay. But you knew Johanna was here, and you are already at full life. You do not even get healed by the Alexstrasza W. Nice scatter completion time, but again, poking the Zarya and the Tychus at this point doesn't lead to anything anymore. You got your kill, you have control over the control point. You are missing soak on the map right now. There is a wave right here that is not being cleared. So at this point, hitting Zarya already doesn't do anything.
I think I did it so that it takes longer for them to heal up and contest the objective again.
It will take them 10 plus Johanna's rotation time to even be able to contest the objective. Your top is being pushed in by Leoric. You have missed 3 minions of soak here. Your camp is being cleared up. And doing 3% of Zarya's life plus giving her full energy is not worth that trade. You're also still missing bottom soak. Now, as a Hanzo, you cannot do all of those things by yourself. But constantly brawling, and again, using all of your mana in that brawl, doesn't do anything. It will look nice on the score screen, yes. You have a lot of damage, but it didn't lead to anything. And at this point, you are simply endangering yourself. Look what your team is doing. You're together. You're still sort of together. Falstad is clearing the wave, as he should be. Varian is staying on point. Kira is going back to lane. Alexstrasza is going with Varian. And you're stepping up into tower range with the Tychus. So you're completely split from what your team is actually doing. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And this is really, 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 really bad. There is no point to staying up this far for this long just to hit some enemy heroes to farm some hero damage. Hero damage is not a goal. Hero damage doesn't do anything. And doing a little bit of extra damage to the enemy heroes with the argument of, well, they'll be low when they come back, is not an argument when you are losing this hard on the map. You would very easily die here if Tychus wanted you dead. But he doesn't get the W towards the towers off. He backs off because you are so far forward that he is baited into thinking that your tank is anywhere near you, which he isn't. And you're super low on mana. The Tychus takes way too long to realize that he can hit you. That he doesn't have the completely inappropriate time. And this is why you were getting away with this in quick match, right? Because the enemy team is really bad at punishing you, because they get drafts that cannot punish you, and because they don't have the awareness to punish you. When you step into towers all alone, 1v3. But your Kira dies for it because she has to step up so far, because you were so far up. And as a Hanzo, there is just no reason to be far up and ever take damage. You've also been in the mid lane for about a full minute now, while all of this is being neglected, while Falstad is clearing this up solo. Now, if you were grabbing the objective this entire time, that might even be okay, but the objective wasn't even being taken. You were just brawling for brawling's sake. This is another point where you step up really far for no reason. Next to a wall, and especially when you are stepping up near these walls is when it is most dangerous. So you are stepping into melee range of Zarya, where she can now auto-attack you. If she had a real level 7, she will be able to slow you, turn around on you, and probably force you to use trait while you're at no mana whatsoever. While these minions are still not being cleared, this minion is even hitting you. And you stay next to her and go back in just because there's a wall in between you. And Johanna rotates in right next to you can easily walk up to you, slow you, condemn you, wrap around this wall, force a kill on you, but she completely ignores you because it's quick match. Because she would much rather hit your tank than you for some odd reason. Now this positioning is a lot better. You have an out, your tank and your healer are next to you. They just use some cooldowns. So this is a lot better. But stepping back here is weird.
Oh, I'm trying to avoid the root triangle.
Why not here? Same distance. It is a little bit of a sellout when your Varian goes in and you go all the way back to towers. Do you see what I mean?
Do you mean that I'm letting the enemies kill Varian?
Your Varian thinks, oh hey, I can go in because I have my Hanzo with me. And at the point that he ease in, you go back to towers. Now, in my team, we call this selling each other out. Because you pretend to help your ally, and then you don't. So it takes you a while to get back into position. Hitting the Johanna, getting no point. But you haven't actually soaked for 1.5 minutes. And all you've done is rack up 10k hero damage, while you are now, as one of your team's very few Waveclay heroes, below Varian. And this is really bad. The only reason why you are ahead in XP is not because you are playing well, but because the enemy team is even worse at XP than you are. Because they are 5 randoms in quick match. Also, another good moment to Harf. You were waiting on a teammate to respawn, but you are at 0 mana. And actually, I can pinpoint the moment where you should be Harfing. At this point, you can Harf for free. Either right here or right here.
What about mid-soak?
You haven't been caring about the soak anyway, so I don't really see a reason for you to start caring now, but there is an Alexstrasza and there is a Varian here. Top is being soaked, Kira is on her way, might be soaking bottom soon. So the point of clearing waves is so that you can do rotations. So that you get a vision advantage in the lane. Because when you clear this lane, your minions push up towards here, and you can see your enemies that are moving here, you can see enemies that are moving here. That is the point of clearing lane. At this point, the enemies already have control over the objective. Without Falstad, you are not fighting here anyway. So continuing to poke while on 0 mana doesn't do anything, especially stepping up while your tank is not stepping up into their tank doesn't do anything. And your towers could have cleaned this up with your Alexstrasza variant. But again, I'd like to point out that you are selling out your tank. So your tank wants to go on the point. But what are you doing? You see a Leoric, so you have to hit a Leoric. And you're completely ignoring this part of the screen. Do you see how split you are?
Yeah.
And how that is bad for your variant?
Yeah, but like if I go in, it's free.
Why do you need to go in? You are a Hanzo. You never need to go in. You play at range.
Yeah, I meant go in as in help fight objective, not into melee.
Yeah. Well, you have been going into melee all this time, so it is probably actually what you meant. But if you're right here, Varian can step up. You can contest your objective. You can slowly push your hand out. You can get control over the objective. But now he's going into Vijahana, and because you were never positioned here, like Alexstrasza was, you are now at a really awkward angle to help him in the first place.
Wait, do I know where the enemy team is?
No, you didn't. Which meant that stepping up here was even worse. So if we actually look at what the team looks like. The only reason you get away with killing Tychus is because his team sells him out. Do you see that?
Oh, where they... Was it because they didn't get the barrier shields?
No. Johanna would rather hit a Varian, then walk a little bit upwards, blind you. Leora could rather auto attack a Varian a couple times, then cut off your engage here. And Zarya can just shield Tychus at this point, yes. But you are really punishable here. If the enemy team wanted to, they kill you here. Again, for free. And if you look at their team, they should never be able to damage you, let alone have all of these opportunities to kill you that they have had so far. Stepping up into Johanna's melee range again.
Well done.
Deckard's melee range. And again, I would like to illustrate if Deckard had a real level 1. Replay desync, excuse you? I'll restart the replay. I don't think I've ever had that happen to me before.
What's Deckard's level 1?
In this case, it's Field Study, which is more healing when he lands E, which he cannot land.
Oh, what's the real level 1?
Sapphire, a 65% slow. A little bit further. So if we look from Deckard's perspective, who's still on his way. At this point, Deckard can walk over here, body block you from being able to scatter and Q the Tychus, which he doesn't. But a little bit later, at this point, Deckard can use Sapphire, W here, E here, And even if you jump over this wall, you still get rooted. Zarya can get on you for free. Johanna can get on you for free. Because you keep walking up. But he sucks at using his W. He uses his E without using his W. And it can't hit anyone because he doesn't have a slow on it. Again, Johanna auto-attacking you. Because you don't respect that, you don't have any vision here, and they can be anyone here. And at this point, you're actually starting to have to ration abilities because of your mana, which you could have harped for way earlier. That being said, because Falstad and Kira are both doing a decent job of soaking, and their team is absolute ass, you were still ahead in the game. But it has nothing to do with your 5 kills. It has nothing to do with his hero damage. Your hero damage has been absolutely meaningless for 80% of this game. Liara could be threatening you really hard here, but he doesn't. But that's probably Elite Sparkle wants me to specifically look at this, is ult usage, right? So you use your ult here, but you use it when they're not clumped up. You use it on the taunt target without respecting that the Johanna is right here and can eat it for free. Which Johanna didn't have one, but she doesn't actually care about it. If you aim it slightly upwards here, slightly upwards. When this engage happens. This clump, you see, you know what a clump is?
Yes, it's when lots of enemies are close together and can be hit by AoEs.
Mm-hmm. So you should be thinking about hitting the Zarya, because hitting Zarya also means hitting Deckard because of the way the ult works, right?
Yeah.
But instead, you want to hit the Deckard directly, which means that it misses. If this was aimed here, Deckard would be hit, Tygus would be hit, Varian wouldn't be in danger. Also, using your trait to chase in a team fight is really bad. Leoric, if he wants to, can now just slow you and kill you. Especially if Deckard starts walking to the right, groups up with Leo, gets his trait going, gets his 50% CDR, gets his 10 armor. But Leo misses his Q, he misplays. And I would like to highlight that that is a recurring theme. That every time I point out that an enemy can do something and they don't, it is because they are really bad. Because quick match. But again, you got the Deckard kill, and what does continuing to poke the enemy heroes do? There's a minion lane here, there's a minion lane here, that are both being missed at this moment. You can harf, you could have harfed right here, gotten full mana. You could have gone to the Protector immediately, instead of chasing it around now. Protector or whatever. And this is just what I mean, right? Constant brawling for no reason, and the enemy is matching you in this.
Wait,
But what does this fight actually do?
Wait, are we talking about Trickle Protector?
No, I skipped through Trickle Off Protector for a reason. But this fight right here has no meaning whatsoever anymore. If you are 4v3, you can force a camp, you can force this camp, you can go this camp, maybe you can invade this camp, soak this lane, but hitting enemy heroes in the top lane is completely meaningless. And is just a complete waste of time. Hitting this laser drill another time is completely meaningless and is a waste of time. Now we're doing something. But it took us so long to get here. And now you saw an enemy hero that you start to chase instead of wave soak. Keep in mind, these are the things that actually matter.
Wait, I think I went bot to take the turret.
Yes, you did. But I want to highlight this movement. You see a Johanna, so you walk to the Johanna, instead of mounting up, going to camp immediately. And that is very much a recurring theme. So it has been 7.5 minutes in this game, and this is the first time you are on this camp. Do you know the respawn time of this camp?
2 minutes 30 seconds.
2.5 minutes. Now the first camp spawned at 1 minute. How many times could you have taken this camp?
3.
3 times, and it would be about to respawn for the 4th time. What have you been doing in that 7 minutes instead?
Useless poking.
Mm-hmm. Like, yes, if you press tab and we look at your hero damage, it looks very nice. But you still have no kills, no assists. Like, yes, 2 and 5. Meaningless. You have no soak. And this is how you should actually measure progress towards winning. Let's talk about that for a little bit. So, what is the ultimate objective in Heroes of the Storm that will cause the victory screen to pop up?
Kill the enemy core.
Kill the enemy core. How do you kill the enemy core?
You kill enemy structures first.
So you have to kill the keep and the fort in a lane. How close is your team towards doing that after 8 minutes, where you got 7 kills and you are ahead 2 levels? How much actual tangible push have you gotten in that has helped you get further towards winning the game?
We got top, wall, and fountain.
Fuck all. Half a gate. A gate. This came from the Protector. So you have spent 8 minutes brawling over a Protector to get 1 wall. And that is the only value you have gotten in the game that has led to a concrete advantage on the map. Further towards furthering your win goal of killing the enemy core. That's really bad.
Yeah, so usually when I play Sylvanus, I just press D on buildings, but I don't know how to siege as Hanzo.
Kill minions. Grab camps. Kill minions. Kill minions. If you kill minions and the enemy does not, do you know roughly how much damage an uncontested full minion wave will do to enemy towers?
3 ranged minions is the same DPS as 1 Grey main.
But do you know how much damage this will take from 1 minion wave?
Half a tower?
Spoiler alert, it's this much.
Was that from 1 minion wave?
Yes, this was from 1 minion wave. This was from Kira plus 1 minion wave. Again, if their tank was chilling in this bush, you would have an issue, but just checking the bushes. Johanna being able to get onto you is just, again, not okay. Do you see how the Johanna gets onto you?
Presumably I walk into her.
Now how should you be playing here?
Pinging retreat and soaking bottom lane.
That is the good play, yes. But if we were to actually have a reason for hitting Johanna, what should we do?
Stay behind Kira and Alexstrasza?
Not per se Alexstrasza, but if we translate this into a mechanical play, I would right-click the Johanna. As soon as the right-click comes out, I would as soon as the auto-attack comes out, I would right-click backwards, scatter wall, start charging Q.
Wait, how do you know Johanna will walk into the choke?
Oh boy, she walked into the choke. Because they are predictable as hell. Why else would Johanna be walking up towards Vikira here? Because at this point, she is walking towards Vikira. And this is the point where you know Johanna will keep walking forward. But so do you. And she gets onto you because of that. And you get stuck in this really bad position. Now this is a 4v2. The enemy team is doing fuck all. Zarya is letting herself die to Vikira instead of just walking away. Johanna shouldn't even be engaging you in the first place. But again, quick match. Enemy team is misplaying like crazy. You can already queue here onto the minion wave. But you channel it for really long to hit the Johanna.
No, I shoot it at the mage minion, but it dies before the arrow arrives.
Your strategy is working.
It would not have hit the mage minion even if it didn't die. But the melee minions and the ranged minions, at the point that your Q actually comes out, were already too far away that hitting the mage minion would even splash onto all of them. But it's better to get your Q out as soon as possible instead of charging it up. The only thing that charging it up does, well, there are two things charging up does. Can you name them for me?
It makes it go longer, and it gives more reaction time for the enemies to move away from the telegraphed ability.
Almost. It increases the range at which it can hit, and it increases the cooldown. Do you see that?
Uh,
The longer you channel Stormbow, the more you are increasing the cooldown. Because the cooldown is 4 seconds plus whatever time you spent charging it.
yep.
So ideally, you always want to make the charge time as little as possible. While you are charging, you cannot W. Your movement is screwed up because you have very bad setup. You cannot auto attack, and you cannot use E. So you always want to minimize the charge time of your Q. And that means releasing it as soon as possible. As soon as you can hit something with it, you do want to. So, also same here, just Q this minion. At this point. Charging it up for this long was not needed.
Oh, is that the right ping that we have talent hair advantage and they have a dead hero so we can take the healing merc?
What is this?
It's Johanna.
Why is there a U next to the Johanna?
Sorry, I have no idea.
I do.
Did what you had to.
Very, very simple fix. Your team. Thing your team is doing. Thing you want to do. With me so far?
Yes.
Then why go here?
Don't know.
I can give you an answer, and it is scouting. Now, I don't know about you, but I happen to know that Hanzo's Q gives vision if used into a bush. And is generally better than using your face, because your face has health and dies. But even then, there is a line that you should think about in the middle of the map. And on the right side of that line is Safe Paradise. And on the left side of that line is Spooky Enemy Dangerland. And every time you go across this line by yourself, you need a good justification for entering Spooky Enemy Dangerland. And this time you do not have a justification for entering Spooky Enemy Dangerland. Correct?
Yes.
But even in the case that you are, use your abilities to face check bushes, not your face. Wait, this patch note's out? Oh god, wait. I want to see patch notes. Anyway. I think this is getting a tad repetitive at this point, right? Can you list all of the things that I want you to work on?
Do not poke unless it leads to something.
Mm-hmm.
Like poking for hero damage if it doesn't lead to a kill or forcing them off the objective or off the mercs is pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one who should be taking mercs, even if I have Q4. If my enemies, like if my teammates soak.
Mm-hmm.
think more about vision, not just bushes, but also corners.
Especially corners, yes. And there is a fourth very important one that is related to the first one.
What was the first one? Oh, the poke?
First one was poke, less meaningless poke. But there is a really important asterisk on that one. And that is what you should be doing instead.
Soaking.
Not soaking. Soaking is getting the experience.
Killing minions.
Yes, killing minions. Because if you are a damage dealer, in your 4-man, you are half of the damage to minions. If you are not dealing with minions, either your tank and your healer have to, which is really, really awkward, or the other damage dealer has to do it all by himself, which is really, really bad. The faster you clear minions, the more time you have to rotate, do camps, interrupt enemy rotations, which is a valid reason to poke, by the way. Interrupting rotations, dismounting is a more valid reason to poke. If it means that you get priority in the rotation because you clear the minions and they don't. But if you interrupt their rotation without killing the minions, then again, it is meaningless. And keep that in mind.
Wait, if I interrupt their rotation without killing their minions, it's meaningless.
Because why is it good to interrupt rotation?
Slow them down.
And what does slowing them down do?
We are placed relatively ahead.
And how do you get ahead?
Killing minions.
Killing minions. It all boils down back to being killing minions. Turns out killing minions is really good.
So, like, if you're like 3v1 in a lane, and you can either kill the minions and run away, or kill the enemy heroes, then kill the minions and run away. It's not worth it to slow them down by killing the hero, because it slows down how fast you kill the minions.
In the case that you get a kill at, say, level 4, but they still clear the minions faster than you still get structure damage, or even worse, you lose soak, was the kill worth whatever time you spent on it?
Do they lose like soak or rotation speed in the time that hero is dead?
If you are not hitting heroes, usually no. And I also invite you to, when you're unsure of whether something was a good play, to look at it from the enemy's perspective and see what they could have gotten and what your actions prevented them from if your actions prevented them from doing what they wanted to do. That is the only time early game that interacting with enemy heroes is worth something. If you are either preventing them from doing something, or you gain something more from it. Anyway, I want to look at your ult, so let's go to team fights. Oh wait, there was a team fight here. Why was there a team fight here? There was literally nothing to fight over.
I wake up Kira from the sleep.
Kira was already woken up. Interrupting Deckard's ult does not wake up the targets that he is sleeping. If you read Deckard's ultimate, channel for 3 seconds, putting enemies to sleep while channeling, and for 2 seconds after. Kira is woken up by Tychus. But how many heroes are they?
4 versus 3.
4 versus 3. Is it worth using ultimates in a 4 versus 3?
No, but I know that if I don't use my ults to save a teammate, Elite is going to yell at me.
Are you saving a teammate?
Yes, because if I don't, it's Kira's 1v4.
2 arguments. 1, this is Kira's fault. 2, Kira's already woken up before you pressed R. And 3, objective is about to be up. And not having your ultimate for the objective means that it is a lot harder to win the objective, right?
Yes.
But if your ult does not lead to a tangible advantage, is it worth using your ult?
I think the ult will let Kira escape.
Does it now? Does she escape? Does she try to escape? Kira did not try to escape, she tried to engage. Your team had to go in to save Kira. Kira used her ult, Falstad used her ult. Now we fast forward a little bit. Your team dies because you engage her, by the way. That's how bad the engage turned out to be.
Over here and help me.
But now, Kira, I guess, lived, but you had 3 other devs. They made up the 2-level disadvantage. They are now only half a level behind. Objective is up, and you are still waiting on your ultimates, which means that you have to concede the early part of this objective. Now, the enemy team is misplaying. They're not even on the objective in the first place. They only are now. But it's extremely awkward. Now, if we go back to the exact same point about helping your teammates, why was ulting Kira before helping your teammates? But not here.
I think I was too focused on running away from Tychus.
How did you get into Tychus' range? Corner. Corner not being respected. You see that?
Yes.
This puts you in a really bad spot. If Deckard had Sapphire, you would be in this route right now. Tychus would be doing a lot more to you. Let's cure him. But yes, here is where the ult is going to be really good. But why does your team still die? Do you know?
Because we don't focus anyone while they're stunned.
No. Much simpler.
Because I'm too far away.
1, 2, 3, 4. Africa. Why were you here?
I used the healing fountain.
Why did you have to use healing fountain?
Because I didn't respect the corner and lost my health to flanking Tychus.
And this is just one of the cases where it actually turned out to be really, really bad. But also, your Falstad is a total inter. Elite Sparkle. And should not have gone for an aggressive gust. Aggressive gusts in general are just really, really bad.
Yeah, I know.
Even if you were here earlier, I don't think your team would have won this team fight. There wasn't much you could do here, specifically. However, at the point that Falstad has died, what has this team fight devolved into? Quote-unquote team fight. At this point.
I think the aggressive gusts this game was because Elite's a tank player, so he's used to engaging.
Yes, but looking at your perspective, at this very point where Falstad just died, what has this team fight devolved into?
Three heroes in the middle being focused, while me and Alex Ross are on the outside poking.
Meaningless poke. These two heroes are going to be dead no matter what you do. If Alex keeps going in, she's going to be dead no matter what you do. You have no more impact on your teammates here. Whether they will live or whether they will die. What does damaging enemy heroes here still do? Do you honestly think you are going to be able to get kills?
I hope that we could kill one person, like Deckard.
Do you hope?
Before...
so who is going to be able to hit this Deckard?
Varian or Kira?
Varian just used E. He cannot get to the Deckard. Kira doesn't have E. She only has Q. She can at most poke the Deckard a tiny bit. He has his own Q off cooldown. There is no way Deckard is dying here. No, same thing for Tychus. Your team has 0 focus left. 0 abilities with which to focus. So what should you do, looking at this from hindsight?
Sell them out and go soak.
Yes. Soak. 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 Because if you keep contesting this objective and you die here and you don't soak, you have more people dead, you have more you have less levels, you have less soak, there will be more structure damage on your towers. And like I said, nothing is going to happen. And even now you are still poking heroes. Well, the way to stop the enemies from pushing here is by queuing the minions. That is the only way you are going to be able to discourage them from sieging. But even still, you continue to poke here on the Tychus, and look how few fucks Tychus gives about you hitting him. And look what is happening to your health pool in the meantime. Meanwhile, they actually got forward towards winning the game. They got a fort. But did you actually do anything in this objective defense?
I should have hit archer minions inside the protector and Tychus.
So there are 2 things here. First, not queuing the minions, because the minions are what keep the well, first of all, they're doing a lot of damage here, right, to the towers. But second of all, Tychus can just get healed up. The protector cannot. So hitting the protector at least does something. But even then, the last 20 seconds spent here has amounted to absolutely nothing. All of the damage to this protector was done by the structures. What would have happened if you went mid and you soaked this lane?
We would be level 17.
17.
16.
Minions are pretty good, but they don't give you a full level by one minion wave. Yes, you will be level 16. At that point, you could back off, let Protector hit this, chill here, wait for your teammates to respawn, now with 16.
How do I know whether a team fight will be bad and I should just sell all of them out to go soak?
A lot of that is awareness and practice and playing all the different heroes, right? But at this point, how does your team get kills?
Gust into arrow into...
No, simpler. How can your team kill a single hero?
Everyone focuses that one hero.
And what does Falstad do to focus a single hero?
He gusts everyone else away.
No. He auto attacks. He uses Lightning Rod, he uses Hammerang. Maybe Frequent Flyer. That is Falstad's contribution to kills. To focus targets. How does Kira contribute?
Auto attacks, bleed, the roundabout.
Mm-hmm. How does Varian contribute?
Taunt. And auto attacks.
Taunt and auto attacks. How do you contribute?
Auto attacks, Q, W, and the stun.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, who can contribute?
Oh, I've never really kept track of ally abilities except the ultimates.
Mm-hmm. I know. And it is a difficult skill, but it is an important skill. And that is how you know that a team fight has zero chance of continuing. But at this point, who can continue? Keep in mind you can see everyone's cooldowns in this overlay at the top underneath their hero portrait.
Me, Alexstrasza, Kira, and Falstad, so everyone except Varian.
Mm-hmm. So Falstad gets the gust out, but the heroes caught by the gust are on your Varian. Kira can no longer get to the enemies. Falstad still has to move to get to the enemies. You still have to move to get to the enemies. So at this very moment, who is dealing damage on your team?
Just Varian.
He's stunned. No one on your team is actually doing damage at this very moment. Kira walked into position and got Blessed Shield. So while everyone is Blessed Shielded, you are the only one doing damage in this entire fight right now.
Wait, how do you see anything in that mosh pit?
Play all the heroes and you recognize for animations? Question mark?
Okay, so I'm the only one dealing damage.
Because your entire team is stunned, and you can see that with the, just the stunned popular health bar.
When I see that they're all stunned and have used abilities, I just...
And the entire enemy team is not stunned.
So here I sell them out and just soak.
But at the point that you see that also Kira and Falstad have died, your remaining hero is still rooted, and no one on their team is close to dying. Because yes, Deckard is low, and if you were right here, for example, you could scatter, Q, auto attack, you might be able to kill Deckard. But you cannot do that through the entire enemy team. And in the time that it would take you to position in a way that you can hit Deckard, he would have healed with his Q. Or gotten into a position where you had to go for their team again. But even if you could kill Deckard, what would that do at this point?
Not much, because we have 2 dead, possibly 3 heroes. And so the only real thing it would cause is make Tychus half.
And this is Zarya's shield, by the way. But at this point, do you see that the team fight is lost and that there is no salvaging it?
I thought maybe like I could pressure them and let Varian get out safely.
You overestimate your abilities. They are very tanky. Right, we knew that at the start of the game. We saw that they were very tanky. Yeah. There is no one on their team that you can straight up one-shot. But you do recognize that the only thing you can hit safely is the laser drill. But at that point, if you can only hit the laser drill, there is nothing you are doing to keep pressure off of Varian. And that is how you can know that the team fight is gone. But then at this point, I think you should realize that you have no use for poking. I hope.
I was thinking like poking could slow down their push.
Nope.
But in retrospect, it doesn't do it.
But even if you slow down their push, will it slow it down enough to where it even matters? To where the risk of you getting collapsed on the tower is even worth it?
No, so I should just have that. Or I should leave them.
So anyway, we fast forward, you lose half your health. Sorry, last to heal you. Let's fast forward to when the protector is gone, because this protector is going to expire, not die. Jesus, let me check that out. Okay, that was the cat being a cat. Anyway, the protector is about to expire. Actually, that's maybe a good point. I said this protector is going to expire, not die. And I said that at this point. Do you see at this point that the protector will not die, but it will expire?
Well, because the yellow bar is shorter than the blue bar.
And who is able to hit the protector?
Only me, because I'm the only ranged and Falstad is soaking.
He's soaking the 16 that you didn't soak before, yes? But can you even step up with your healer and your tank here?
Not with auto attacks.
And you lose a lot of health here. If Deckard had Sapphire, you would die. So, what has this this fight devolved into?
Useless bloke.
Useless poke, my favorite. Now, defending the fort can still be legitimate, but your Kira killed herself before you could even get here.
Wait, how did Kira get there?
Kira should have died. I misplayed. Kira saw the entire enemy team rotating and decided she wanted a piece of that. I can't believe your team bailed out the Kira. She should have died. Sparkle. What is this?
What did Sparkle do?
It's me playing quick match. To be honest.
Do you recognize that this is a very bad place to be ASD?
There is another one even better.
I think he's trying to get a gust.
What will the gust do?
Hopefully isolate Tychus and let us kill him.
What does killing Tychus do?
Lets us turn around.
How do you turn around?
Kill Tychus, kill the Protector, and kill the enemy heroes, and then siege bot lane. Four of us can siege bot lane while the Falstad soaks.
Your Falstad is about to die.
No, he's already dead.
That is why this is a really bad play. Now maybe Falstad doesn't die, etc. Tychus is not actually isolated. Please tell me you don't get hit by this Deckard ult.
Oh, the replay froze. Oh. It froze from before Deckard started his ult.
Oh. Let me try to start streaming again. How's it now?
Yes.
So this is the ult that I call out, please don't get hit by it. I don't believe you noticed the Deckard ulting.
Probably not.
Hey. You even get woken up by the Protector, god damn it. I hate quick match. Anyway, this fight at this point is incredibly messy. There hasn't really been a point where I would have used your ult yet, by the way. Wow, Janna misses Bless Shield. Anyway.
Whenever Falstad pings help, it means he wants an arrow.
When did he want an arrow? We're gonna check on Sparkle's arrow call. So an arrow here? When does he call it? He calls it here. An arrow after Varian has died will not lead to anything. At most, this will help Kira disengage.
No, it was for peeling and not let them snowball. I think it would have saved Kira and Alexstrasza. What do you think?
I would agree with a peeling ult here if it was Dragon Strike. But I don't agree with it with Dragon's Arrow. Because Kira's death timer is shorter than Dragon's Arrow's cooldown. The fight is already lost, you're not turning around, so the most it will do is save a Kira.
They can push if we all die here, actually, if they get 2 more kills. Instead, if we survive, Alexstrasza can heal up Kira on the set, and maybe we can save Clementine. I don't know.
Kira ends up surviving just fine though.
Okay, they survived anyways. But I was scared. I was scared, to be honest.
Yes, I can agree with the thought process.
I
But...
explained what was my idea in the comments.
By the way, this was very much a Dragon Strike game instead of a Dragon's Arrow game.
No. Let him practice the Dragon's Arrow.
I don't think you should only play one Hanzo. I think that is very wrong.
Yeah, true.
Do you see how you take so much damage here, Zuule?
Zarya and Titus grenades. Oh, I was going to the Alex Grasta W, but it expired, and then I got rooted by Deckard.
You got baited by Alex W. But you're also just a little bit too far up. Auto attack range when you're outnumbered is too far up. Alright, Sparkle giving vision, very nice. Interesting scatter.
Wait, I think that was on the corner if you saw the pings I gave Soren a few days ago.
Anyway, this is one more time where I want to highlight that channeling your Q too long is bad. Your Q can right now already hit 2 minions. This is the base range, right?
Yes.
Aim it here, hit 2 minions. And you release it. Good. But the second Q did not need to be channeled.
Oh, I repositioned so that it hits the 2 full health minions.
The positioning has to happen before you start channeling the Q, first of all. But second of all, you can already hit the 2 full health minions from right here. You see that?
Yes.
You don't have to do this weird thingamajig. Anyway, that's really minor, all things considered. Hitting enemy heroes here is...
Wait, I used the Q on the minion wave.
And in this instance, you realized that hitting the enemy heroes here was...
Useless though.
useless. I'm proud of you, son. This is a very split rotation. It is actually safer, in this case, for you to rotate with the team, rather than take the extra far back rotation.
So the far rotation, is it no longer safe if the fort is dead?
Yes. So the issue is that where at this point is the nearest safety?
Like in general, jumping over wall safety, or like hide behind structure safety?
There are 2 kinds of safety. Hiding behind walls and hiding behind teammates. Teammates are safer than walls. In most cases, because walls are actually kind of weak, especially at level 19. But at this point, your teammates are closer to safety than this wall, out of which the gate is almost already dead, right?
Can I ask a question about Hanzo? if he goes where Varian and Alexstrasza are right now, and tries to give vision in the jungle there, the bushes near the camp, maybe we can catch the enemy heroes before they get 20.
You mean you want to trap right now?
Let's say look for the enemies, and Hanzo has tools to do that. And,
Yeah, I can agree with that.
We didn't use.
But if we actually look where the enemies are, right? They're over here.
Ah, okay. But still, like.
And chilling here, chilling here, chilling here, chilling here. Your comp isn't actually that strong from bushes. Not into their comp. There's no one you will burst down within the taunt duration because Zarya shield, because Deckard potion.
I think it's around here I say in party chat that someone should soak a bot lane while they're rotating with top.
Yeah, I mean this rotation from Sparkle is very ambitious.
Unlucky dust.
So this team fight, I'm actually gonna look at just an arrow, but to see if there could have been an arrow, but there isn't much you can do in this team fight to save it. This team fight just looks really bad, and there are two main reasons for this. One, it's overforced.
Wait, did Falstad gust kill away?
Yes.
Yeah, unlucky gust. That's why I said it.
But why does this team fight look so bad? Can you try to explain that to me, ASD?
Because we're all asleep, literally.
Mm-hmm. And how did you all get asleep?
Deckard, his ult.
What caused you to be in Deckard's ult range?
The fancy gust graphics.
Nope.
Okay, that was fun.
Nope. There is a very simple reason why you were all so clumped up.
We were trying to kill someone and ignoring the Deckard.
One, you ignore the Deckard. Second, everyone hard focuses on Johanna. And you can see that Varian gets the taunt off on Johanna. Falstad thinks, hey, we can kill for Johanna if I gust their team away.
Should I stun? Should I press R on Deckard right now before he sleeps?
No, because you also would not see this coming in your future games. However, at the point that he starts channeling his ult, you see this giant beam of light shining down on Deckard?
I've never seen that before.
You see Deckard with a yellow health bar underneath him?
Yes.
This is when you should already be backing off, or casting Dragon's Arrow on Deckard right now to interrupt his cast. That is what you could have done to salvage this team fight.
Wait, does it go on full cooldown if it's interrupted before?
No, 10 seconds. But if you cast it now, your entire team is still asleep. And that is too late. Your team cannot go to sleep.
I did not know that you had to interrupt Deckard before it's done. I thought of it like mosh pit.
No, so the issue is if Deckard cancels or is stunned now, your team, including you, will still be asleep for 2 seconds. So Deckard's ult says, stop channeling. But see, he self-cancels it, And everyone who was still sleeping at that time stays asleep for another 2 seconds after it is cancelled. So he can channel for 3 seconds, and the sleep lasts for how long he channels plus 2 seconds. This is why you need to cancel him before the ult cast is complete, because your team will still sleep for 2 seconds. You also then... Oh wow, you actually got the ult, very nice. But at this point there isn't much for you to do. Your positioning is a lot better than it was at the start of the game here. This isn't a terrible arrow, but it's very hard to make it lead to something, just because there is no focus that can be on the Johanna at that point.
So I know that if I don't use it at all, they'll say like a saving arrow for next team fight or something.
Like I said, the best arrow you could have done was to interrupt Deckard's ult. And it wasn't a bad arrow, it just couldn't lead to something. Partially because you're 2 levels behind. If you were not levels behind, and not statistically behind, you know, 8% health, 8% damage behind, that would have led to a kill.
And by the way, about the use the arrow thing, I'm saying him to try to use it more often, because then he can realize and actually see if it did something useful or not. If it doesn't use it at all...
Especially for learning, it is a lot better to use it and waste it than not use it. Just because you get to practice it and you start to see a lot more when it is good.
But like, if you're checking replays, then maybe not using them is not a real problem.
Like,
during the game...
wait,
how does this game go for another 9 minutes?
Wait,
Because
like,
I'm trying it down.
I'm trying to solve the house that thing's objective, and we go and die or something.
I was soaking and Varian went on a 15, then I had to join fight.
Should we have like 20 before objective?
No, barely.
Whoa. What the fuck did I just see? Oh, don't crash on me now, replay. What am I looking at?
It's new Gast working on allies.
Oh, I didn't see that Zarya was unstoppable.
Who is your focus target?
Deckard?
Where can you hit Deckard from?
Anywhere?
Why are you next to the Zarya with full energy that can right-click you?
I think I may be body blocking Deckard from escaping.
No! No!
Okay, but it was a nice excuse.
No. Bad. Bad Zuule. So, fine positioning. Fine positioning. Still fine positioning. Starting to become a red flag. But still fine. Red flag. Red card. You do not have to be this close. Anyway, you get healed up. And at this point, you can hit the Deckard. Scatter here, hit Deckard. This is okay. Deckard does not have bonk. No. 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 Now I'm going to look at that from Zarya's perspective. Maybe that helps. So, do you know Zarya's kit?
Plasma grenade, shield cell, shield ally.
So Zarya right now, her auto attack DPS is roughly 1 million. It is really, really high. She has full energy. Wait, back just a little bit. But Zarya only has 4.5 auto attack range, right?
Probably.
What can Zarya do to you right now?
Nothing.
What can Zarya do to you right now?
Nothing.
And now?
Shield the Deckard and auto attack me.
So actually, I'm gonna math this out. So we have a nice bot on this server called Probius. You might have heard of it. Zarya/info. So Zarya does 20 times 4 times 3 times 4. Zarya at level 21 does roughly 550 auto attack DPS per second.
So that's 6 seconds to kill Hanzo.
Now, what does Zarya actually do? Move, 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 move. What could she have done?
Killed Hanzo by auto-attacking him for 6 seconds.
How much damage does her Q do?
Don't know.
Her Q does another 600 damage per Q. A little bit more.
If Joanna blessed you there, you were dead, basically. Because of Zarya damage, Joanna damage, stun, and Deckard.
Yeah.
Okay, Deckard is not important.
But
I got baited by the wind tunnel.
But even then, there is literally no reason to go into Zarya's melee range. Especially because Deckard was your focus target. You got worse scatters on him because you moved in so close. Which caused him to survive for so long. Also, you got a kill. But you still don't have your tank, and you still don't have your second damage dealer. What does your team do after the kill?
We should kill a structure.
In this fight, what does your team do after the kill?
We continue fighting.
Where does your team go? Which direction?
To the left.
To the right. Sparkle has no health. His Q, his W, his E, and his R are in cooldown. He doesn't have Tailwind. Alex Strauss's Q just came off cooldown, but she doesn't have health. She can't heal efficiently. The enemy heroes still have 2.6k health, 3.6k health. You are blinded.
Still full energy.
They have a massive health advantage. They have 5 rubies they can still pick up on the floor here. They have a massive cooldown advantage because Zarya's about to have her massive shield, Johanna's about to have condemn. Your teammates are backing off, and you're charging in. Zarya had the freest kill in the world on you.
With plasma grenades?
With right-clicking. But Zarya is a terrible player, so she didn't. And it is very frustrating that Zarya did not right-click you, because you deserve to die. Anyway, I think that's about it for this replay, to be honest. I want to check out the patch notes.
Wait, I think there's some more arrows.
Quickly then.
There is only fight where I Oh, right, this one before.
I mean, the fact that this game goes on for another 6 seconds is astounding. Oh, my game is crashing. So enemy team is on objective. On support camp. They get the support camp. Kira is on really low health in the middle of the entire enemy team. The enemy team was all wind tunneled and they popped 2 unstoppables. And you tried to stun the 2 unstoppable people. That's not great. Anyway, I'm gonna quit now. It's been 2 hours.
Do you use Harrow there to stun the focus?
Anyway, I think you definitely have a lot to look at here. I did record everything, so you can always look everything back. ASD.
Yeah. So it was don't do useless poke, sell out.